The black SUV rolled into the winding driveway of the Beverly Hills estate 3 hours ahead of schedule. Ethan Caldwell stepped out, his polished loafers tapping on the cobblestone path. He hadn't told a soul he was returning home today. Not his secretary, not the household staff, not even his daughter, Sophie. Ethan wanted to catch a glimpse of what really went on in his sprawling mansion when he wasn't around. For weeks, something had felt off. The house had a different vibe. The staff seemed jittery, and Sophie, his wheelchair-bound daughter, barely met his eyes anymore. "I own every inch of this place," Ethan muttered under his breath as he approached the grand entrance. "So why do I feel like an outsider?" He turned his silver key slowly, silently. The vast mansion was still. Too still. Ethan tugged at his tie and stepped inside, his pulse quickening. Something was happening here. He could sense it. Then he heard it. Laughter. Not the forced chuckle Sophie sometimes let out during her therapy sessions. Not the polite smile she offered her nurses. This was real laughter, the kind that burst from deep within. The kind Sophie hadn't let out since the crash that took her mother and left her in that wheelchair. Ethan's chest tightened. He followed the sound, his steps quickening down the polished hardwood corridor. His hands trembled. Was he imagining it? Sophie laughing like that? The sound grew louder as he neared the great room's door. Ethan pushed it open and stopped dead. What he saw chilled him to the bone. There, on the plush rug, was a girl about Sophie's age, crawling on all fours like a pony, her dark ponytail swaying with each move. She wore a vibrant red dress that swished side to side. And on her back sat Sophie, gripping her shoulders, bouncing with the widest grin Ethan had seen in years. His daughter's eyes shone with pure delight. Her cheeks flushed from laughing so hard. "Faster, Mia, faster." Sophie giggled, her legs gently squeezing the girl's sides. But what stopped Ethan's heart was the sight in the corner. Sophie's wheelchair, empty, abandoned as if it didn't matter. Ethan's face burned, his fists clenched. This was wrong, so deeply wrong. His daughter, his precious daughter, was riding a servant's kid like some kind of animal. It was humiliating. It was beneath them. "What is this?" Ethan's voice thundered through the room. The girl froze mid-crawl. Sophie's smile vanished. Both kids turned to face the furious man in the doorway. "Dad!" Sophie's voice was small, frightened. "Get off her right now." Ethan stormed in, his face red with rage. "What do you think you're doing?" The girl, Mia, helped Sophie slide onto the rug. She stood quickly, her red dress rumpled and dusty. Her wide hazel eyes brimmed with fear. "I'm sorry, sir," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "We were just playing." Ethan let out a harsh laugh, cold and cutting. "You think my great room is your playground? You think my daughter is your plaything?" Mia stepped back, tears welling. "No, sir, I never..." "Quiet." Ethan pointed at her, his fingers shaking. "You're a servant's kid. You don't belong in this room, and you don't touch my daughter." Sophie's face paled. Her eyes darted between her father and her friend, confusion and fear swirling in them. "But Dad, we were having fun. Mia makes me feel..." "I don't care what she makes you feel." Ethan's voice roared louder. "Look at you, crawling on the floor like some animal." Those words hit Sophie like a blow. Her lower lip quivered. Mia took a brave step forward, though her body shook. "Please don't yell at her, sir. It was my idea. I just wanted Sophie to smile." "Your idea?" Ethan turned his fury on her. "You think you know what's best for my daughter? You think you understand what she needs?" "I know she's sad," Mia said softly, but her voice was steady. "And when we play, she's not sad anymore." Ethan felt a pang in his chest. This nobody, this servant's kid, was talking back to him his own house about his own daughter. "Sophie doesn't need friends like you." Ethan spat through gritted teeth. "She needs proper companions, kids from good families." "Not." He looked Mia up and down with disdain. "Not this." Then Sophie did something that stunned the room. Using the sofa, she pulled herself up, standing as tall as her shaky legs allowed. Her small hands balled into fists, mirroring her father's. "Stop it," Sophie shouted, louder than Ethan had ever heard. "Stop being mean to Mia." Ethan stared, dumbfounded. Sophie was trembling, not with fear, but with anger. "She's my friend," Sophie went on, her voice breaking with emotion. She's the only one who doesn't look at me like I'm broken. The words hung heavy in the air. Ethan's heart skipped. Broken? Was that how Sophie saw herself? Mia reached for Sophie's hand. You're not broken, she whispered. You're perfect just as you are. Ethan watched his daughter's face soften, saw her look at Mia like she'd been given the greatest gift. And then it hit him, a realization that made his stomach lurch. This servant's kid, this girl in the rumpled red dress, had given Sophie something his wealth, doctors, or tutors never could. She'd given Sophie back her smile. But Ethan was too proud, too angry to admit it. Not yet. Both of you upstairs. Now, Ethan said, his voice low but somehow more terrifying than his shouting. Sophie looked at him, her eyes filled with hurt and disappointment. You don't get it, Dad, she said. As Sophie reached for her wheelchair, Ethan saw something that made his chest ache. The light in her eyes was gone. The smile had faded, and he knew he was the one who'd snuffed it out. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Sophie didn't move toward her wheelchair. Instead, she stood on her trembling legs, glaring at her father with fire in her eyes. No, Sophie said, the words sharp as a blade. Ethan blinked. His daughter had never defied him. Not once. What did you just say? Ethan's voice was dangerously soft. I said no, Dad, Sophie repeated, her voice growing stronger. I'm not going upstairs, and Mia's not leaving. Ethan's face flushed again. You'll do as I say, young lady. I'm your father. Then act like one, Sophie shouted back. The words hit Ethan like a punch. He staggered back, stunned. Where was his quiet, obedient daughter? Where was the girl who whispered, yes, sir, and never caused trouble? Mia stepped closer to Sophie, her small hand finding hers. It's okay, she whispered. I can go. I don't want you in trouble. See? Ethan pointed at Mia. Even she knows her place. Why don't you? That's when Sophie did something that stopped Ethan's heart. She began to sob, loud, angry sobs that shook her whole body. I'm tired of my place. Sophie screamed. I'm tired of that stupid chair. I'm tired of tutors who treat me like I'm dumb. I'm tired of doctors poking me, saying I'll never be normal. Ethan opened his mouth, but Sophie wasn't done. And I'm most tired of you, she said, her voice cracking. You look at me like I'm fragile, like I'll shatter if I have too much fun. Mia doesn't do that. She makes me feel like I'm still Sophie. Mia squeezed Sophie's hand tighter. Even scared, she wouldn't let her friend face this alone. You don't know what it's like, Sophie continued, tears streaming down her face. Every day, I wake up and remember I can't walk right, that Mom's gone, that everything's different. But when Mia plays with me, her voice softened. I forget all that. For a little while, I feel like a normal kid again. Why do you want to take that away? Before Ethan could respond, hurried footsteps echoed from the hall. Mia's mother, Elena, rushed in, her dark hair messy from kitchen work, flour dusting her apron. Seeing her daughter holding hands with a crying Sophie while the furious billionaire loomed, her face paled. Oh no, Elena whispered. Mia, what have you done? She didn't do anything wrong. Sophie yelled, turning to Elena. She's the best friend I've ever had. Elena looked at Ethan, eyes wide with fear. Sir, please forgive my daughter. I'll take her away. She won't bother Miss Sophie again. Good, Ethan said coldly. That's exactly what's happening. But Mia surprised everyone. The quiet, scared girl found her voice. No, Mr. Caldwell, Mia said, looking straight at him. Her voice trembled but held firm. I won't apologize for being Sophie's friend. Elena gasped. Mia, you can't talk to Mr. Caldwell like that. Why not? Mia asked, tears in her eyes now. He's being mean to Sophie. She's sad all the time, and when I play with her, she's happy. What's wrong with that? Ethan stared at this tiny girl, daring to challenge him. What's wrong is you're filling my daughter's head with foolish ideas, making her think she can run around like other kids when she can't. But she can. Mia shot back. Maybe not the same way, but she can. She's smart, funny, and brave. She just needs someone to believe in her. I believe in her. Ethan roared. No, you don't. Sophie screamed. You think I'm broken. You think I need to be locked away from everything. You think I can't pick my own friends. Elena stepped forward, hands trembling. Please, sir, don't punish the children for my daughter's boldness. She means well. She only wanted to help. Help? Ethan laughed bitterly. By letting my daughter crawl on the floor like an animal? By making her think this game is suitable for someone of her status? Her status? Mia's eyes flashed. What about her happiness? Doesn't that matter? Ethan was so stunned by her audacity that he couldn't speak for a moment. A servant's kid was lecturing him about his own daughter. Sophie wiped her nose with her sleeve, her eyes the saddest Ethan had ever seen. "Dad," she said quietly, "do you know what it's like to have everyone treat you like you're fragile? Like you'll break if they laugh too loud around you?" Ethan's throat tightened. "Sophie, I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" Sophie asked. "From being happy? From having a friend who doesn't care that I can't walk right? From feeling normal for 5 minutes?" Mia nodded, her courage returning. "Sophie tells me things, Mr. Caldwell. She tells me how lonely she is, how she misses her mom, how she wishes people would stop looking at her with pity." "Enough!" Ethan shouted, but Mia kept going. "She tells me she dreams of running and playing like other kids. When we play, those dreams feel real, even for a little while." Elena put an arm around her daughter. "Mia, please stop." "I can't, Mom," Mia said, tears falling. "Sophie's my friend. She makes me laugh, too. She tells me stories, helps me with my math. She's the kindest person I know. Why should I pretend I don't care about her just because she uses a wheelchair?" Sophie looked at Mia with such love that Ethan's heart skipped. "She's right, Dad," Sophie said softly. "Mia doesn't see my wheelchair first. She sees me first. When was the last time you did that?" The question hung like a storm cloud. Ethan looked at his daughter, really looked, and realized something awful. He couldn't recall when he'd stopped seeing Sophie as his vibrant, curious girl and started seeing only her disability. When had he stopped hearing her dreams and focused only on her limitations? But Ethan's pride was too strong. He couldn't admit he was wrong, not in front of the staff, not in front of this girl who'd somehow become more vital to his daughter than he was. "This is over," Ethan said through clenched teeth. "Elena, take your daughter to your quarters. She's not to come to this part of the house again." "No," Sophie cried. "You can't do that." "I can do whatever I want," Ethan said coldly. "This is my house." Sophie's face crumpled, but then something extraordinary happened. She let go of Mia's hand and took a wobbly step toward her father. Her legs shook, but she didn't fall. "Then maybe I don't want to live in your house anymore," Sophie said quietly. The word struck Ethan like a bolt. His daughter, his only child, would rather leave than lose her friendship with Mia. Elena gasped. Mia's eyes widened. Even Ethan felt his world tilt. But the biggest shock was still coming. Ethan felt the room spin. His daughter had just said she'd rather leave home than give up her friend, a servant's daughter. "You don't mean that," Ethan whispered, his voice weak. Sophie's chin trembled, but her eyes stayed fierce. "Ido, Dad. If Mia can't be my friend, what's the point of staying here? I'm already alone anyway." Those words hit Ethan harder than anything ever had. Alone. His daughter felt alone in this massive mansion filled with people paid to care for her. Ethan stumbled back and sank into his leather chair, feeling small and powerless for the first time in years. "Sophie," he said softly, "you have everything a girl could want. Top tutors, the best doctors, toys worth more than most people's salaries. But I don't have a friend," Sophie said, her voice breaking. "I don't have someone who likes me for who I am inside." Mia stepped forward despite Elena's tug. "Mr. Caldwell," she said softly, "Sophie's the bravest person I know. When I was scared during that storm in the hills last week, she told me stories until I wasn't afraid. When I struggled with math, she helped me figure it out. She's not broken. She's amazing." Ethan looked at this girl with messy hair and a rumpled dress and suddenly saw something new. When she looked at Sophie, her eyes glowed with pure friendship. No pity, just love, the way his wife, Claire, used to look at Sophie before the accident. Memories flooded Ethan like a tidal wave. He saw Sophie at 6, racing through the Central Park paths on her little legs, chasing fireflies, laughing until she gasped. He saw Claire scooping her up, spinning her until she squealed. He saw the day it all changed. The call, the hospital, Claire's hand going cold in his, Sophie's small body wired to machines, the doctor saying words like spinal injury and may never walk normally again. Ethan had vowed that day to shield Sophie from all harm. Nothing would hurt her again. But somewhere along the way, shielding her had become controlling her, and controlling her had become caging her. "Oh God," Ethan whispered, head in his hands. "What have I done?" Sophie took another shaky step toward him. "Dad, are you okay?" Ethan looked up through blurry eyes, really seeing her for the first time in years. Not the wheelchair, not the injury, but Sophie, his bright, brave, lonely girl who just wanted to feel normal. "Sophie," he said, voice thick with tears he'd held back for years. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry for what, Dad?" Ethan wiped his eyes. "For making you feel broken when you're not. For making you feel alone when you shouldn't. For caring more about keeping you safe than making you happy." Sophie's eyes widened. Her dad never cried. Her dad never apologized. "I thought," Ethan went on, "that if I kept you safe from everything, you'd be okay. But I was wrong. I wasn't keeping you safe. I was keeping you from living." Mia took a small step forward. "Mr. Caldwell, does that mean Sophie and I can still be friends?" Ethan looked at her, really looked, and saw what Sophie saw. A kind, brave girl who didn't care about wealth or wheelchairs, only about Sophie. "What's your favorite thing to do with Sophie?" Ethan asked gently. Mia's face lit up. "We read stories, draw pictures, and sometimes pretend we're explorers in Yosemite." Ethan's heart squeezed. When was the last time he'd asked Sophie about her imagination? When had they last read together or drawn? He couldn't recall. "And Sophie," Ethan said, turning to his daughter, "what's your favorite thing about Mia?" Sophie smiled, the first since he'd come home. "She makes me feel like I can do anything, Dad. When I'm with Mia, I don't think about what I can't do. I think about what I can." Elena stepped forward, still holding Mia's hand. "Sir, my daughter would be honored to keep being Miss Sophie's friend, if you'll allow it." Ethan stood slowly and walked to where the three stood. Sophie, Mia, and Elena looked up with hopeful, nervous eyes. "Mia," Ethan said, kneeling to her level, "I owe you an apology. You've given my daughter something I forgot how to give her." "What's that, sir?" Mia asked softly. "Joy," Ethan said simply. "You've given her back her joy." Mia's face broke into a radiant smile. "Really? I can keep being Sophie's friend." Ethan nodded. "But I have one condition." Sophie's smile faltered. "What condition, Dad?" Ethan grinned, a real smile, the first in years. "The condition is that sometimes you let your old dad join in. I think I've forgotten how to play, and I could use some teachers." Sophie launched herself forward, hugging Ethan so tightly he nearly toppled. "Really, Dad? You want to play with us?" "Really," Ethan said, hugging her back. "I want to see the world through your eyes again. Both of your eyes." Mia clapped her hands. "We can show you the game where Sophie's a fearless astronaut, and I'm her trusty spaceship." Ethan laughed, a true laugh, the first since Claire died. "A fearless astronaut? I like that. What does this astronaut do?" "She explores new planets," Sophie said excitedly, "and goes on missions and never gives up, even when it's tough." Ethan looked at his daughter with new eyes. Sophie was a fearless astronaut, fighting battles every day, with her body, with loneliness, with a father who didn't understand. And she'd been winning, all on her own. "You know what, Sophie?" Ethan said, lifting her and spinning her like Claire used to. "You're the bravest astronaut I've ever met." Sophie giggled, that beautiful, real laughter that started this all. "Does this mean no more boring tutors all day?" "Well," Ethan said with a wink, "maybe we can balance tutors with fun. Mia, can you help me make sure Sophie gets both learning and playing?" "Yes, sir," Mia said, bouncing on her toes. "I know tons of fun games." Elena wiped a tear from her eye. "Thank you, sir. Thank you for seeing how special their friendship is." Ethan put a hand on Elena's shoulder. "Thank you for raising such an incredible daughter. She's taught me more about being a dad in one day than I learned in years." As the sun set through the great room's windows, Ethan realized something profound. He was the wealthiest man in Los Angeles, with companies, properties, and cars worth millions. But the most precious thing he owned was in his arms, laughing with her best friend. His daughter's happiness was worth more than all the money in the world. And he nearly lost it by forgetting the greatest truth Love isn't about shielding someone from everything. Love is about helping them soar. Did you enjoy this touching story? Then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next ones. And tell us in the comments, from which country or place did you hear this beautiful story? Let's spread this message of love and connection around the world.